Adam, roll call, please. Angela, roll call, please.
Someone.
We just keep you guessing. Counselor Sanchez,
Finally here.
Counselor Gorley. Here. Counselor Trask.
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
Present.
Counselor Thorstad.
Here.
Counselor Richards.
Here.
Let the record show that we have 6 present. I will entertain a motion to excuse Pro Tem Muller. He is out of town on work.
So moved. I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Angela, please take a vote.
Counselor Richards,
Yes.
Counselor Thorstad,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Trask,
Yes.
Counselor Gorley,
Yes.
and Counselor Sanchez.
Yes. Let the record show that we have 6 ayes to approve of Pro Tem Muller's absence. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, consent agenda. It's just the approval of minutes from our last council meeting.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Angela, please take the vote.
Counselor Trask,
Yes.
Counselor Thorstad,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
Counselor Gorley.
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 6 ayes to approve of the minutes. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, recognition of visitors and hearing of petitions. We are first going to have a swearing in of officers Mark Burkett and Jason Sanchez to the Sweet Home Police Department.
All right, thank you very much. This is my favorite thing to do. First off, I just like to welcome our new officers. It is such an honor to have you here. Your dedication and sacrifice that you're giving to the community of Sweet Home is just so truly appreciated. So I want to say a huge thank you. So I'd like to start with Mark Burkett. Mr. Burkett, if you wouldn't mind coming up. State of Oregon. Charter and ordinance. Sweet Home,
Charter and ordinances of the
best of my ability.
best of my ability.
I will faithfully during the period of which I am appointed.
Period of it.
Very much. Congratulations. Now, Chief.
And former chief is gonna badge on. There's probably a chance you're gonna get poked in the chest.
Thank you. And now I'd like to welcome Jason Sanchez.
Swear
That I will support
the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and of the state of Oregon,
and to the state of Oregon,
the charter and ordinances
the charter and ordinances
of the city of Sweet Home,
of the city of Sweet Home,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
I will faithfully perform the duties of officer
I will faithfully perform the duties of officer
during the period for which I am appointed.
during the period of which I am appointed.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so much.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
I am thrilled to have both of you on staff here and working for our police department. Thank you so much for joining Sweet Home PD. And yes,
Thank you, chief. We got 2 people that can reach over the steering wheel. That's really nice to have. Good job. Very good job. We're getting really close to the end of that. So thanks, guys.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda, recognition of employees harvest festival.
Okay. Okay, so we actually have a little presentation, and this is going to be a little combination of things. So we have some staff that I'm hoping will come on in while Adam gets that set up for me. So we wanted to just take a moment because a lot of our Sweet Home employees do a lot more than you typically even see or than anybody even is aware of. And they do stuff above and beyond. They work extra hours. They do a lot of things that is pretty exceptional. So we wanted to take a little moment to just talk about some of the things. It doesn't include everything, but some of the things. One of the things I wanted to mention, nope. They're not on. Okay. Trish Rice, would you stand up? So unfortunately, this is Trish's last council meeting unless we can all convince her to stay. So you all can work on that. I'm kidding, but I'm not. But Trish has done a lot of things and we wanted to just recognize her before she leaves us. She's been with us for how many years, Trish? 13 years and working in engineering, helping with how many projects would you guess? Yes, probably at least that. And so she's going to the private sector. It's a promotion. We're extremely proud and excited for her. But just even recently, she's helped obtain the WIFIA funding. And while she was here, she achieved and obtained her public engineering certification. And I don't know if you all are aware of how much that takes, but that's a ton of work. And we're super proud of her and we will miss and we will really miss her. So thank you, Trish.
Thank you, Trish. Trish, you will be missed, and you know that I mean that.
Yay. Okay. So we recently had great success with our Harvest Festival, and I keep hearing I've been at 2, and this one was even more impressive than last year. And I keep hearing that they are getting bigger and better, and that definitely seems to be true. We had over 75 vendors. I think we had 78 sign up. And we had fantastic community attendance and it was a huge team effort. But and want to thank everybody who was involved because it was really a wonderful thing. And a lot of people really think very highly of Sweet Home who attend it. And it's just a wonderful thing for our community all the way around. And a huge thank you to all of our volunteers. But there's one person that I think we really, really have to acknowledge for this. So Angela Clegg, who went and above and beyond for months. And I don't know if you all know this too, but while she was trying to manage Harvest Festival, she's also been, as you see, in council, helping out with minutes, helping out with covering Julie's position not being filled. She's often one of the last people to leave. She picked up all sorts of additional duties. We are apparently underwater or there's an alien who's joining us. And she's formed a lot of really great relationships with sponsors and volunteers. And I don't think the success of the Harvest Festival would have happened as well without her. So I want to say, oh, okay. I'm going to wait 1 second while that gets fixed. And then, all right, there we go. All right, so I want to say a big thank you to Angela Clegg. Adam. So Angela, come stand up. Please have to be careful. All right, so trying to stand next to the microphone, so come over here. So I'm going to present you with these flowers. from all of us, as well as the challenge coin. Thank you. And it does, it has a fish. We designed it just for you. Thank you. So thank you so much for everything that you've been doing. Thank you. Okay, so it's just, I think the battery is dead. So that'll be my new very, very covert signal. So another thing just want to talk about a little bit is Let's Paint the Town. So as you all know, we've talked about Let's Paint the Town a lot, but we've kind of wrapped up at this point. And I don't know if you all know exactly how much our Public Works team was working on all of this, but they have been working on it during the week. They prepped all the buildings. They were working on it on the weekends. And Let's Paint the Town has been one of those projects that I think pretty much every single staff member in the city has worked on it. At least I know a lot of you all helped. Really, really appreciate that. And go ahead to the next one. There we go. Speaking of, we've had over 200 volunteers, and that includes our city councilors. Our mayor was there many weekends. Councilor Gorley was there many weekends. We had Rotary there. Pretty much almost all the staff helped. We had the Corvallis Youth Corps. We had the Art and Culture Committee, Miller Paint, of course, Fitzpatrick Painting, and all of our awesome community members. So I just want to say a quick thank you to all of them. And everybody who's been involved. It was, 8 weekends and lots of various weeks. And between some of the businesses that have painted them, have chosen to take the paint and are painting themselves, and the buildings that Public Works has painted, as well as Fitzpatrick Painting, we're looking at about 41 buildings, which is pretty amazing, or at least 41 businesses. So very excited about that. Next one. We had a whole bunch of staff supports. You saw some of the photos there. We had pressure washing by Brian Hunter, Sean Pearson, Craig Steele. Blair Larson was out there getting a lot of businesses to come on board and convincing them, as well as developing a lot of those connections and so forth. Megan Daisy, even though she's in the library, was with me almost every weekend, which really, really appreciate. And then Jason Ogden was also both there painting and making sure that he had a lot of his officers there. So even if they weren't painting, they were still providing stickers for kids and other pieces. So really appreciate everybody who was doing that. Okay, next one. Okay. But there are a few Public Works employees that really we have to talk about a little bit, because these were the ones who were out there, and between all the Public Works employees and the volunteers, they painted 16 buildings, which is really amazing, and managed to get their regular stuff happening. So Tommy Roby, I'm going to stare at you till you stand up. So please stand up. Thank you. Sean Heggie, Tyler Rucker, Sean Pearson, Blake Patterson, who's not here, but that's okay. He's with us and she's in our minds, and Dominic. Please all come up. All right, come on up here. We're gonna put you in the hot seat for a second. Thank you. And just, we really we really appreciate you all. So thank you. So for Dominic, we also have the positive attitude award. Dominic. On a regular basis. So, and because I know I'll make you attach to but thank you, Dominic. We really appreciate.
I know that all of those men like to work behind the scenes and don't like being brought forward, but I appreciate each and every one of you for all that you contributed to our town for this project, but also just every day. I know you guys do a lot of work that gets unthanked and unnoticed, so thank you.
I just want to second that again. Like, I cannot thank you guys enough. You know, everything that you're doing is, you're literally making our town a better place every day. So just thank you. Excellent. Okay. Another person who's kind of behind the scenes, but who also was involved in this whole painting project a lot was Adam. And he didn't know I was going to do this, so don't let me embarrass you. But he has also grown our Facebook page by over 30% since he started. He kept a lot of the momentum going on with Paint the Town. He reached out to other types of organizations. He helped organize things, and he kept things very positive and fun a lot of times too. And one of the things that's amazing is what he was out there almost every weekend, and he's allergic to paint. But he still managed to do things. So, Adam, hand me a challenge coin so I can hand it back to you. Okay, you have to come up apparently. So, and as you can see, I'm always asking Adam to do something too. So really, really appreciate you. Okay, final person, and he was not expecting this at all, but we really have to recognize Greg Springman for this project. Greg has been leading this with me, or sometimes completely on his own, since the very, very beginning. And he's been there every weekend. He's been there during the week. He organized paint. He organized his team. He organized Miller Paint. He organized Fitzpatrick. He was involved in getting the Miller Paint donations, all of these things. So, challenge finding the other things. So, perfect. So, Greg, please stand up. And so Greg literally has keys to every single city facility and every single building. No, even my office. And everything except for one. And it's time that he had this one. So
Still trying to figure out what that opens. I heard that.
so in addition to the challenge coin, because it's only fair that you get one too.
Sure. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of staff and all of the community. We've managed to do some really great stuff in a fairly short period of time, and a lot of these projects couldn't have done without everybody. So we have an amazing team, and just want to say thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I just reiterate all the gratitude that City Manager Young has expressed. I'm just grateful for our city manager, though, too. I know that she's headed up this team, and she's done an excellent job of representing our community, but also organizing this huge project and encouraging the team to continue. So I just want to say thank you so much, City Manager Young, for your efforts as well. And thank you, everybody, for your patience as we celebrate those items. It's a big deal what we were able to accomplish as a city. 41 buildings in one summer is a huge thing to celebrate. So thank you for taking the time with us to celebrate those items. Now moving on to the next item on our agenda. Request for council action with the Mahler WRF interim improvement project increased contingency. Just as a note, those who are here to speak, I'm going to ask you to come forward when it's the item on the agenda. Okay, so I haven't forgotten you. So go ahead, Council or City Manager Young.
Thank you. I'm actually going to hand this one over to Director Springman to talk about this particular.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, councilors. Thank you guys for coming.
Yes, thank you.
I have an RCA in front of you. I want to give you a little update. Have all materials on site. All the last panel came in and it's been put in place. The final wiring will occur next week. Once we do that, TAG will come in, the automation group, and then set all the controllers, and then we are going to start startup. I sat in a meeting today where all three contractors, along with our engineers and our staff, are gearing up to not only fill the tank, but to start circulating it and start using that once we get going. The RCA that's in front of you, excuse me, is we have 2 outstanding invoices that need to be paid, and we do not have enough contingency to pay those. And if you can see that, it was for invoice number 13 and 14. We are asking for an additional $10,000 for contingency so we can complete this project and get startup going and get it completed. If we have any questions, I do have Trish here, so you'll be able to ask her anything you want. But that's what we have in front. We're excited to get this going and get it operational. It'll help the plant be able to operate normally, removing sludge. And so we're excited to get this going.
Right. Thank you so much. If we have any questions, we better ask tonight since it is Trish's last meeting. Any questions from counselors?
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes.
Do we have the $10,000 for this request?
We need the additional funds, but it would be taken out of ARPA, and that would expend those funds. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Angela, please take a vote.
Counselor Gorley,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
Counselor Thorstad,
Yes.
Counselor Trask,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman.
Yes. Means let the record show we have 6 ayes, no nays, and 1 absent. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is telecommunications franchise agreement with Alerica Networks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One of the things that city staff has been working on for quite a while is trying to get more options for our citizens when it comes to high-speed internet. And I wish I could say that I made Alerica look at Sweet Home as their next location for expansion, but I'm very, very happy that they did. We've been talking for the past year, I guess. And now the time has come that they've sought a franchise agreement to lay infrastructure within our rights of way for fiber optic internet service. And so Alerica is here with us tonight, and also in your packets is the franchise agreement that we have negotiated with them. I believe they have a short presentation, and so I'd like to invite them up to take the hot seat. Yep.
So just come forward to this table here and the microphone. And when you come forward, please give your name and address for the record. Okay. Thank you.
My name is Madison Yock,
Uh-huh.
and my address is 364 North 7th Street, Philomath, Oregon.
Wonderful. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Can you turn on?
Sure. Thank you so much. Well, thank you. Hello. Thanks for having us. It's really, we really appreciate the opportunity to be here and participate in the conversation a little bit and then be available to answer any questions that anyone might have. So I want to be cognizant of your time, but I do want to share a little bit about Alerica and what we do and who we are. So we were founded in 2002 by 2 local brothers who saw a problem in a rural community where there was little access to affordable high-speed internet. And so they created a solution to that. And fast forward more than 20 years later, Alerica continues to grow and hold strong to its core values that we have today. And so we're headquartered in Philomath, but our service area spans basically throughout the Mid-Willamette Valley. So Lane County up to Yamhill County. And we provide service through a couple of different technologies. So we utilize fixed wireless service, which currently serves the city of Sweet Home now. And in fact, we have 449 customers in Sweet Home who are served by our wireless service. But we also do fiber optics. So We have fiber throughout the city of Brownsville, Halsey, and now Adair Village as well. So we're thrilled to be here and talk a little bit more about bringing fiber here to Sweet Home. And I know that you all have some of the materials that we've worked together on crafting, and I was able to take a look at the RCA 2 that was included. And so I did want to touch a little bit about sort of what our preliminary plans are for bringing fiber to Sweet Home. And Chase, I should say Chase is here too from our team. He's our fiber engineer. So what's also kind of unique about Elyrica is that all of our fiber is in-house. So everything from design to construction is done within our team. So and Chase is responsible for that. So we do plan on bringing 2.5 gig service here to the city of Sweet Home. And here, hopefully you can see that all right, but the red there is basically where we would focus our project within the city of Sweet Home. And then if you can see where the blue line is there in the corner, that would essentially be phase 1 of the project. So I think approximately 1,200 homes in phase 1 there. And then there is my contact info. So we're here for any questions or comments, and you feel free to reach out to me directly if you have anything else that you'd like to hear from us. But we're thrilled to be here. So,
Madam Mayor, may I ask, what's the cost of your guys' services for the customers that you provide it for?
so I have, am I able to share brochures?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't think there's a problem.
Okay, so I do have brochures both for our fiber service and for our fixed wireless service. And so I don't know if it's appropriate to share it now or afterwards, but I could
Now
pass
is
it around.
great.
Yes.
Pass it around.
Oh,
That'd be great.
go grab.
Director Larson, is there any way that we can get that map emailed to us, or I didn't see it?
I can
Maybe
I can
missed it.
email out the presentation to have a copy of it.
I would just like to be able to answer any questions by
Fine.
looking at the map.
Sure. I can get that sent out
Thank
to
you. That'd
everyone.
be great.
I brought some pamphlets on our residential and our business. So I don't know if you'd like to take a look at all of those, but they're all a little bit different. So sure, those are the wireless plans there. And then we have our fiber plans here as well. Residential, thank you, Blair, appreciate that. And business wireless and business fiber. Thank you very much. Yes, please. Thank you. Appreciate it. And so for you can see there what our fiber prices would be residential. So fiber fast, $49.99 per month there.
Thank you.
And then the plans that we currently have, the wireless plans, the essential plan there is $59.99 a month. Of course, it's a little bit different for business owners.
Any other questions from counselors? If there are no other questions, I will entertain a motion.
So just to finish up with the staff report, I apologize. I should have mentioned that. We've negotiated this contract with Elyrica, but we've also made an effort to make it as close to our existing franchise agreements as possible. There are some differences. However, they are differences that we would be willing to give any party if they were bringing to Sweet Home what we want, which is fiber optic service to the home. And so Lyric has been great to work with and has been accommodating of the changes that we have asked for. And so as it stands, I believe Robert there's a couple small changes, but that he's recommended to what you have in front of you, but that's something that can be taken care of before final reading. It's nothing, I'll talk with you about it. Nothing significant. So if you have any questions, be happy to take those. But other than that, the franchise agreement is an ordinance, and so it would need to be read 3 separate times at a council meeting.
Madam Chair, I do have a. So this place is all over the place. I see it all the time. I used to be employed by one that, never mind. Anyway, so are you competitive with them? With the other two? I'm not gonna miss their names because you know who they are.
Sure.
Are you comparable for cost or do you know?
I think we could be comparable, but I think we can come in a little bit lower than, based on some personal experience that I've had with, some of the larger providers. I think we can provide, better cost.
So-
And an extension of that, another thing that is unique about Alerica is our customer service representatives are all local folks who work in our office all day, every day, and are answering the phones all day, every day. So when you call, you're talking to Dante, or you're talking to a real person who really cares. And so, you know, we live in these communities too. And so, I do think we can beat most of the pricing, but also to the quality and customer service. I know certainly that you'd be pleased with that.
So are you, you're gonna do a small portion now, whenever you get going?
Sure.
And then is that on the east side, the west side? Where is that at? Is it on the west side?
So if we can bring up the map, their phase one is essentially, more or less between First and 18th,
That's
south
perfect.
south of Maine.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
So
There we go. Thank
that
you.
blue line is
Yeah, I knew
is the
that. I
initial
was just-
phase. So
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be our preliminary phase one. And
Okay.
so what,
and I've already talked about where most people live and
What's the max?
sorry, you're in
speed you
phase
can
two.
have?
so we will plan on deploying a 2.5 gig service
Okay.
here. So
Which is incredibly fast if you did not know that.
It's not that. Yes, I know that. So,
I don't think we have that fast here.
We
in
do
City
not.
Hall.
no. you don't.
that would be our plan.
We had Fitz getting it put in here, but never mind. That's enough. Okay, thank you.
I'm really excited about the potential of this coming because I'm a remote worker. So I appreciate the addition and more options within the city of Sweet Home if we pass this tonight. Any other comments or questions of counselors? Oh, wait, is the staff report done?
Oh, yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Are you gonna do the berry stuff too?
Yeah. So, Chase, did you?
Well, I was under the understanding that you could use the ones that are already on the ground. Is that not true? Somebody else's,
No, so
Okay.
to build on the network, you have to have,
okay,
we'll know much more once. Really, any line, how quickly.
Okay.
Real first.
sounds good to me.
Okay. I will entertain a motion of council.
So move.
Second,
I have a motion and a second to approve the agreement as proposed and conduct a first reading of the ordinance. Angela, please take a vote.
Counselor Trask,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Thorstad,
Yes.
Counselor Richards.
Yep.
Counselor Sanchez,
yes.
and Counselor Gorley.
Yes,
Let,
This is in ordinance form, so you're approving that you're going to read it for the first time tonight, right? I mean,
Yes, that's what I
we're
read.
writing? Okay.
yes, yes. Let the record show that we have 6 ayes, no nays, and 1 absent to read the ordinance tonight.
won't let me go.
Just stop it. Just kill it. Kelsey Young, City Manager, ex officio City Recorder. Accepted. Grantee accepts this franchise and an ordinance agrees to be bound by its lawful terms and conditions by Kevin Sullivan, President.
Thank you so much. We've learned that AI doesn't know how to pronounce certain words like Philomath. Our apologies. All right. So because we had passed this ordinance unanimously, I can entertain a motion to read it for the second time by title only tonight. Just keep in mind that there might be some slight changes by the city attorney for the next reading.
So moved as recommended.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to read this by title only for the second time tonight. Angela, please take a vote.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
Counselor Gorley,
Yes.
Counselor Trask,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Thorstad,
Yes.
Counselor Richards.
Let the record show that we have 6 ayes, no nays, and 1 absent to read this ordinance by the title only tonight.
City of Sweet Home, Oregon, ordinance bill number 30 for 2023, ordinance number blank.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. An ordinance granting a franchise agreement between the City of Sweet Home City and Alerica Networks Incorporated grantee and dated this blank day of blank 2023.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for keeping us on track, City Attorney Snyder. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. Conversion of 10th and 13th Avenues between Main Street and Long Street to one-way traffic only. Staff report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I presume you would like the staff report followed by the comments?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So as you are aware, we went through a process a couple of years ago for our downtown streetscape and parking plan. A couple of the things that came out of that was a plan to change the section of 10th and 13th Avenues that is between Long Street and Main Street from two-way traffic to one-way traffic. And that change would allow for additional parking on those streets because you only need half the travel lanes. That plan was, there were several public meetings involved in that plan, and then that plan was ultimately adopted in March 2022. Since that time, we also, staff learned of an opportunity for a grant for an electric vehicle charging station that we pursued and were given. And because this plan was in place, we felt comfortable listing 10th Avenue as the preferred location. Pacific Power did a feasibility study for a charging station to be located on that street, and that proceeded, and that's what was the basis for our approval of that grant. That project is currently underway. There is still some details being worked out by Pacific Power before any construction can take place. And so we also have a goal set by the council to do the first phase of the streetscape plan. And this is the low-hanging fruit when it comes to implementing the plan, because we can adjust. We don't have to ask anyone else's permission. Council has the authority to dictate what the traffic control patterns are, traffic control regulations are for city streets. The actual cost of implementing this is mainly one of just signage and paint, and the change can be made safe through just paint on the asphalt, and then there are what they call delineators, which are about 3 or 4 feet tall plastic things glued onto the asphalt that can guard the new areas against incursion by vehicles. So in this request is that information, but also the resolution that would need to be passed in order to actually adjust the traffic on these streets. As you are no doubt aware, people feel strongly about access to their properties and where they can drive. And so we have reached out to all of the property owners on each of these streets And also reached out to the fire district to get their take on what they would like to see. The fire district indicated that they would be okay with it as long as there is a 16-foot wide travel lane and as long as the corners have sufficient radius for them to turn their vehicles. The property owners that I have talked to, I've reached out to all that I could. And there was a comment from the owner of the liquor store that he was fine with the traffic change, but the sidewalks need to be resurfaced, which I'm passing on that comment. One of the owners of the property on 10th Avenue, which is who is here tonight, was mainly concerned about parking and having some guaranteed parking for his property. That's a slightly separate issue, and we are exploring ways to address that. But this would add more parking to the neighborhood, so hopefully it would improve that. I did speak with the owner of Subway, and he is. I met with him last week. He was not in favor of this change, but recognized that that this has already been in the works for some time, and his main reasons for it was just any change in access to a property can affect business, certainly. Staff have looked at access to his property, and people coming to Subway would have no change. They'd still be able to access it pretty much the same way, unless they are coming from Long Street, in which case they would have to come around to Main to be able to access it. As you exit Subway, if this change is made, you would have to drive south to Long Street before you could go east or west. And I believe we have other commenters here tonight. So that is the staff report. If you have any questions of staff, I'd be happy to take your questions now.
I'm inclined to have the public come forward first and to share their comments and then entertain council questions or comments. So I'm going to go in order of what it was given to me. Dave Miller, would you please come forward and state your name and your address for the record? Once you get seated, speak into the microphone and share your name and your address, please. Your address. Yeah.
It's 1200 10th Avenue. So anyway, I saw your outline of the proposed changes in the traffic, and there are a couple of things in particular. I don't. Now, is there going to be street parking on the west side of 10th?
So
Yes, please.
And just so council is aware, during my outreach, I did provide sample maps, which are the same ones you have in the packet. So the way that the current design for 10th Avenue would be angled parking on the east side and parallel parking on the west side. So there would still be parallel parking on the west side of the street.
Well, okay. Part of this that concerns me is my clientele, because I am a chiropractor. People don't always have the option of. I mean, a number of times they pull right up to the corner if they're having a little problems with locomotion. And I don't see where that's. I think that could probably create a problem, you know, for access to my business. And the other thing is, get me up there. Okay, I'm across the street from that new apartment building. As far as parking for people like myself, you know, I understand that the parking time, there's a limit on parking times. So how am I gonna park? I don't have a regular parking lot, so to speak. And so that's either gonna put me on Main or on Long Street. Is there a time limit on those parking spaces as well?
So it's a separate issue to, well. Sorry, that's a separate issue to what's being discussed tonight. The parking duration would not change. Right now, for these streets, for both Long and 10th and 13th for that matter, all of those areas are right now limited to 2-hour parking. Now, enforcement of that is usually complaint based. It's usually if there's an issue is when those are enforced. That this resolution tonight would not change that. It would remain 2-hour parking. The property owner of this gentleman's business, I have spoken with him about this issue, and we are looking into ways, because there are several properties throughout the downtown that don't have their own parking lot. And some of them have residential units associated with those properties, but they don't have a specific parking space that's available to them. And so they're limited to that 2-hour parking, which obviously, if you're living there, can be a burden. Right now, until now, we've been at the 2-hour limit for quite some time and haven't really had this come up to my knowledge, but there are a couple different options that we could do. We could institute some sort of local permit option where it's 2-hour parking for everyone, except if you have a permit that has a certain color or a certain number for that street, then you'd be allowed to park longer. There are different ways we can address that. But again, it's a separate issue.
Now might be a good time to speak to those issues, huh?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm there all day. And I do I do have a problem of wanting to walk or down to the end of one street or the other before I can park, you know. So by putting in at the 2-hour limit,
So like I said, that it's already there. The 2-hour limit is already in place. So this would actually, the only thing that this would do is increase the number of spaces that are available on 10th Avenue.
well, you know, I have a little problem with that because I think with some of my people, if the only, I know you're putting a lot more spaces in there, but if you, some people can't get along very well, and they, if they were to come across the street and stuff, they could have some problems there. It would hamper them somewhat. And so those are the main things that be problems is to me, because I mean, most people can come across really well, but then there are others that can't.
Thank you for your comments.
And if I have somebody that's coming to the office, they have difficulty walking, et cetera, getting out of their vehicles, you know, to get into the office, is there some way that we could allow them to park right there on the corner for their appointments?
Are you referring to the corner on Long? Are you referring to the area on Long where there's yellow paint?
Yeah. Where there is paint.
Yeah,
Right in front of my-
that's certainly something we could look at. This, again, this project is mainly looking at 10th, but we haven't, to my knowledge, we haven't looked at Long recently to determine, you know, whether we can reduce the area that's painted yellow. I personally don't know exactly why. It does seem a bit longer than normal, that area that's painted yellow, and we can look into that. In this case, though, there would be an additional parking space that would be directly in front of your building as an option for those folks also. In addition, I would add is that when you shrink a street down to one travel lane, there is a much shorter distance for pedestrians to cross. And so if you have clients who are parking in the angled parking that is on the opposite side, when they come down to the corner to cross, they have a much shorter area where they would have to cross. So the rest of it would be pedestrian space where they wouldn't have to worry about vehicles.
I know that a lot of them are.
And this would increase the options for them.
Madam Mayor,
Is this gonna be, well, I'm wondering about safety hazards for people that are having trouble. And because when you put a lot of people in the spaces for people between vehicles. I know in all. They have vehicles close together.
Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller,
Yeah,
we're
I
going to
can-
need to get to the other comments as well.
I can speak with you
But-
after the meeting if you would like.
We're going to,
I can sit down with you after the meeting if you would like and go over it in more detail.
and we'll consider your comments as we make decisions, but I need to get to the other public comments as well. So thank you for coming forward and sharing your concerns. I appreciate your time.
Since this new apartment building has been put in across the street from me, that has reduced a lot of spaces that other.
Good to know. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Randy Schoonover, would you come forward and share your name and your address, please?
My name's Randy Schoonover. I live at 956 Long Street, right at the corner of 10th and Long. So I have a little bit of a problem with the traffic flow, but I think it will work out. My biggest concern is I don't want my garage door blocked on my residence. It's pretty close to the corner where Mr. Miller's office is at.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that I've talked to Mr. Larson about is the reasonable accommodation for parking more than 2 hours.
Yeah.
Interestingly, my car got tagged a couple of weeks back with the pink tag, saying I had to move my car within, I don't know what it was, but my car was only there for maybe 24 hours. And it's hard when you're living there to keep an eye on your car and, oh my gosh, I've got a pink tag. Okay, I gotta go move my car, you know. And those stickers are hard to get off. So I was just wondering, and Mr. Larson said you will, but I would like that to be addressed in
Yes.
some way so I can park there without worry of being towed.
Well, it makes sense to consider that as we're considering these other possible changes. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah,
That's
thank you. And that's
important.
all I have.
Okay.
Except I do want to say, great job on the building painting. I
Good.
think our place looks great as well as the other buildings in town. Sankey Park is wonderful now. I just love it.
Great.
It's much safer
Mhm.
and just a comfortable place. So thank
Good.
you all for
Well,
that.
thank you. We think your building looks good too.
Yeah, thanks.
And just to address one of those concerns, that garage and driveway is in the plan and will not be blocked by parking.
Wonderful. Great. Kathy Burks, please come forward and give your name and your address.
My name is Kathy Burks, and we own a business at 1244 Long Street, Santa Ana Feed and Garden. And it's on 13th on the corner. And I have a couple concerns. One is that we have two big garage doors, and depending on, we have it up for sale. So depending on who buys it, if it's another feed store, I think they would need both those garage doors where they can have a truck come with feed or whatever. And usually they're a big truck. And so we usually keep the second door closed unless we need our forklift or have a hay delivery. And then the other one, you know, we open during business hours. So I'm concerned with the flow of the traffic, whether a truck could get, or I don't know which direction it's even gonna go, you know, if it's gonna go north or south, the flow of the traffic.
This proposal is for the traffic to go from Long Street to Main Street. So on 13th. So it would go north.
Okay, and so would the truck be able to park right in front of the store? I mean, not in front, but right in front of our doors?
Yeah, so what we have in the plan is I believe we have a space for at least the northern door, or wait, there is a space where that we have taken that into account. And this, I should just add, the resolution in front of the council is for the traffic flow. The way our ordinances are set up, the city manager has authority over how spaces are marked, and in this area, what the duration of parking and things like that are for. And so even if the council wishes to approve this, but also wishes the parking design to be modified, you can approve the resolution tonight and we can still go back and modify the parking design. So what staff would be looking to do is to work out a way with either you or a future business owner to make sure that the parking accommodates your needs.
Okay, well, one other problem is when we have a load of feed, it comes on pallets. And you don't just snap your fingers and get the feed into the bays and where that goes. And so
right, so it looks like the middle door there is there's a space in this plan. There's a space for that middle door to be served, but
well,
we can adjust that.
You know, so that's quite a few pallets for that little space.
Yeah.
Anyway, those were my concerns.
And I think there's options of ways that we could modify it. In the past, we also considered a plan where there was almost kind of a serpentine design, where the travel lane was it was different than this plan, where the travel lane would be right up against your building, or parallel parking be on that side, and then it would shift over and have angled parking on the opposite side of the street. So there's options is what I'm saying. And so I think we can find a way that can accommodate your needs and the parking needs as well. So I would love to talk with you and your husband more about a design that could help you guys out.
Okay, and I was wondering, during the duration that the truck was there, somebody's going to get stuck.
The intent behind this is to make 13th Avenue as much of a parking lot as possible when it comes to traffic flow. And so people who are in a hurry should not be taking this street. It is there for access to businesses, there for parking and loading needs. And so that would be the priority, not people trying to get to Main Street.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Kathy, for coming forward. We want to consider your guys' needs when we make these decisions.
Mayor, can I say something in regards to that?
Sure.
The truck driving?
Yes.
So because we have to change the way that the truck comes into that property, it's really difficult when you're trying to change the driver's pattern of driving and then also not be able to pull up alongside that store. So I really like Blair's idea of swapping the angled parking to the other side. So at least if that truck has to change the way he gets to that business, he can pull up right alongside of it. If there's no cars there, it's a lot nicer for truck drivers.
Yeah, it sounds like we might end up getting some modifications to this idea so that it would work best for the business owners. But we do have one more public comment from Jeff Parker. Please come forward and state your name and your address.
My name is Jeff Parker, 1300 First Avenue. I'm actually looking at their property, which is currently Santiam Feed, in regards to whether it would stay a feed store or not, is beside the point. If you do look at the street view, you will notice that traffic coming from Main Street toward Long Street lends itself to better truck traffic, as the cab would be up near the crosswalk, the back of the truck at the service door. You do it the other way, the back of the truck to be at the service store would be blocking the alley and several spaces beyond toward Steelhead Fitness. I would kind of encourage the council to entertain an option of, first of all, I'm all for the one-ways, the additional parking down there. Everybody in this area could definitely need it, use it. But if the traffic on both 10th and 13th was southbound, you would have 10th is southbound, 12th is both, 13th is southbound, 15th is both, and then 18th is both as well. In the proposed plan with this going north, the trucks would be forced, as I understand, as a right turn only, forced to turn towards Sweet Home, meander farther into town to find a place to turn around. So my proposed use of this building would still require truck traffic, and I just think imposing this direction and the right turn only onto Main would increase congestion throughout town even more than it is now. Plus, I don't know how many of you have driven on 13th and decided to go onto Main Street. It's not a friendly corner. There's not very good visibility. Visibility on 10th far exceeds that on 13th. So it may be just easier to avoid the accidents. Have them come on to Long, and then they can go to either 12th or 15th to get a light. Plus, you've got the trucks that regularly come to Figaro's that come on to 13th and to the liquor store. And to the liquor store as well. So I would encourage you to look at that. I'm not sure if that has been an option or not. And I personally would use both those doors on a regular basis.
That's good to know. Appreciate your input and your ideas. We will consider that as we go forward.
Okay.
I have lots of questions. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I will mention too that having 13th as a one-way going north would inhibit me enough that I wouldn't be willing to invest in that area or in downtown Sweet Home at all. So I think we were on the right track for a while. I just hope we don't deviate. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Councilor Sanchez, I'd love to hear your input regarding truck traffic since you are a truck driver.
I've actually driven my dump truck on that road
Yeah.
before when we were doing work for Wildish, and I love his idea better. It's going to be really difficult for the trucks to have to loop around and then get onto Long Street and then go one way. And I didn't realize it was a right turn only. So it's just like circle, circle, circle. Like it's really difficult for truck drivers to change their pattern of driving, and it's not going to be fun.
I'm really curious about the turning onto 13th Avenue from Long Street. I'm sorry, from Main Street or right onto there. I don't think as easy as it is. So any change there, I don't know how that would work. But I had a question that went back to the first public comment, if we can come back to that as Councilor Sanchez continues to look at the truck pattern. There was a question regarding parking in front of the chiropractor office. It looked like from the pictures that there's no parking right now on 10th Avenue right in front of the chiropractor office, but in the map that I see, there is a parking spot now of like in the works for that right in front of that office. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So that would address his concern as well as long as it's not blocking the garage door for Randy's
Yep.
business. Great. On 10th.
And we will also look at the opposite side of the corner, the yellow paint on Long Street, to see whether there's room for a spot there. I don't know the reasons why that was painted yellow in the first place, but we can look into that again and see if there's an option.
Visibility, because coming off of 10th onto Long Street is sometimes hard to see traffic coming from your right. But in looking at this and looking at Google Maps, 10th Avenue, if it's designed and kept this way, it's completely doubles the parking availability on 10th Avenue, which would hopefully then address the other concern of the apartments across the street needing more parking.
And I will add, when those apartments were constructed, the requirement was for them to have 2 spaces per unit, which is actually much more generous than many other communities and more generous than our code is now, actually. And so I am disappointed that there's a lot of folks that seem to be parking in the neighborhood because they should have sufficient parking on their own property.
Yes, two seems sufficient. I do want to not lose sight of the fact that people have mentioned residents having that capability of parking longer than 2 hours.
I think a downtown residential sticker is certainly a possibility, and we'll be looking into that more.
Okay. Any other comments from counselors?
I have one.
Yes.
When we first started talking about this, the conversation was that the charging stations would be on the north end, the northeast side of the road. And so that it would be visible coming down the highway. So is there a reason that it's now moved to the middle of the block?
It's feasibility mainly. Those stations would be fed by power that is on the corner of Long and 13th. And so moving them closer to Main Street adds to the cost when it comes to trenching. And so that's why they were essentially kind of moved. It was also, the other reason was that it was seen that the closer you are to Main Street, when it comes to people turning onto 10th, there was concern about the initial parking spaces being people not being used to them there, and then being more prone to fender benders. Now, when you have a electric vehicle charging station, there is equipment at the front of the parking spot, which requires things to be pushed out a little bit further into the right of way, and the corner was seen as an undesirable place for something like that, where a vehicle was pushed out further. And so moving it toward the middle was deemed to be a wiser course.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And I also would appreciate the idea of having a mock-up with the traffic, the parallel parking and stuff reversed on
which street?
13th.
On 13th? Okay.
I think that would settle the problem.
Yeah, it would be nice to see that. I thought I heard within the staff report that the fire district has requested 16 feet access, and on 10th Avenue, it looks like it's 15 and a half.
Right. We're doing some modifications. Since those maps were made, we've made some modifications to accommodate the fire district.
Okay. I'm glad that you've spoken with them to find out their input. Thank you for doing that. Any other comments from counselors, and especially any other thoughts? Counselor Sanchez, what do you think would work best for trucks on 13th Avenue?
Can I ask the Santiam feed owners, what way do the trucks normally come? And so based upon their testimony and what their business is and where their loading docks are, we've heard that it could significantly impact their capabilities to sell their buildings. So I want to keep that in mind when we're trying to make these decisions. And I would be a fan of switching it, especially as a truck driver. They don't have a problem turning that way from Main Street to their building right now. So it's going to be a problem to go all the way around and swap and this, that, or the other, and they probably won't be able to sell, which we've heard. So I'm not a fan of the bulb outs though either. So I'll just say that again. The bulb outs, I'll just run them right over. But anyways,
Okay, it seems like the business right across the street from us, they don't have any big doors that they have to open or anything. You know, they pretty much could park along there without any problem. And I don't know how that parking lot between the liquor store and that building, you might lose some parking there, but I don't know how much. I hadn't thought about it, but that's just an observation.
I'm really, okay, I might show my ignorance, but if I have a hard time making a right turn from Main Street onto 13th, how are trucks doing that?
we're professional.
Great.
Commercial drivers, professional. You got to get in tight spots and know how to work your equipment. I mean, no offense, Mayor.
No offense taken.
Yeah. Because when you try to come off of, you know, those trees are right. That's one thing. Now this thing on 13th here, this little thing, you got the little blue circle around it there. Okay, so you're gonna put that truck in there. You're gonna go north, and you can't go left. You got to go right. How are you gonna think that truck is gonna make that turn to the median? How do you think that's gonna happen? It isn't gonna happen. I don't think they can. Truck driver, ma'am, can you make that turn very easily in a long truck?
I can make that turn in a dump truck.
But if a tractor and a trailer, they can, but it's more difficult. So I'm not a fan of the bulb outs any sort of way. So
So the one thing I will say, these were identified as being alternating directions. And I think that was for not necessarily really solid reasons. I think it was mainly just for aesthetics the OCD in me likes to, have things balanced or something like that. There's not necessarily, or they don't necessarily both have to go opposite directions. They could both go the same. One of the reasons why that right turn only was stuck in there is that because of the angle of 13th, it really is not a safe intersection. And so it was deemed that, again, most of us don't like to turn right from Main onto 13th because of that angle. And so that is one of the reasons why it was thought, well, maybe it's better to have it one way that direction and somebody turns right and only has the option of turning right. Now, if we were to move it the opposite direction, the good thing about it is that because we are going down to one way, we could arrange that corner to be a lot easier to turn because you don't have another lane of traffic to worry about. You just have the one lane. And so I know you don't like bulb outs, but the great thing about bulb outs is they can direct people to the way you want them to go and protect those parking spots. And so we could have a wide enough space for trucks to come through and route them around the corner in such a way that it's an easier corner to take.
I just, for commerce of delivering goods and stuff to people's businesses, I understand why it makes sense to people that don't, but to people that have to drive those trucks around those cars and around the corners and around the bulb outs and try to miss every single thing, it stresses me out.
So I would agree with coming off of Main in that direction. And for another reason is because we have postal office right on the end of that. And people are used to going in that direction, and the flow of traffic coming towards that and towards even Sankey Park is down there, and our library and everything. And so to direct traffic away from them when we have traffic that comes towards them, they can disperse in other ways when they leave. But I think having that change that to where it's southbound is very sensible.
So, Madam Mayor, we've got some issues we have to deal with.
Yes, we do. We need to make some decisions. So the council, that's why we're here, to make these decisions. So as you all know, that the RCA has certain verbiage on it, but the council has the authority to change things. So if there is a direction from council, I am willing to listen to that direction.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
could we have this brought back to us in our next meeting
Yes.
with the
we can.
corrections that we've identified?
I think that would help us make a decision. So let's table it until the November 14th meeting.
If I can clarify, the changes that we've talked about, most of them have had to do with the parking layout, which is not something the council is deciding. The direction of traffic is the only item that I've heard, at least, that is up for modification. So the drawings that were provided to you were purely for illustration. They're not actually being approved. The resolution itself, with the text that says which direction the traffic is going, that is what we would be modifying. So we can certainly bring it back to a later meeting. But just to clarify, that's what we would be bringing back as a modified resolution.
Sounds good.
So can we decide to change the flow of traffic in towards the post office now and move forward?
We are requesting that they come back next council meeting on November 14th with a modified resolution.
Yeah, I know that.
For 13th Avenue to be heading south.
And I know that we said that only the flow of traffic was the issue, but the diagonal parking in front of the Santiam feed, it just doesn't work for the trucks.
Okay,
Right.
can I do a point of clarification?
Yes.
So one, you absolutely can, if you wish to, make a modification to have the flow of traffic, and you can vote on that tonight. We can just modify that. As far as the parking is concerned, as Director Larson was mentioning, this is more of a conceptual idea as far as the parking. You guys would not actually be voting on the parking. That would be something that we would be coming back and internally working through, because that's actually under my authority. So you do not need to vote on the parking. And we would be listening to the community, because we do want to make sure that the parking is going to be conducive for their business.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So I believe if somebody requests something to be tabled, then it doesn't need a motion or a second, that it just gets tabled to the next meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, but you're tabling it and we haven't changed the flow of traffic. We could just change the flow of traffic and move on. Why would we table?
Also giving ourselves the opportunity to look at what staff is proposing in one nutshell. Just before we make a decision to do anything, with just to look at it. And I think that's just 2 weeks is all we're talking about.
I'm going to make
Yes.
one more point of clarification just for you to decide. We would be bringing back it mostly the same plan, but we would be looking at changing the direction of the traffic on that road. And that would probably be the only modification that we'd be bringing back.
Or whatever,
Unless
based on the
there's
feedback
additional.
from
Yeah.
folks, but
Madam Mayor, and also, we're not gonna be doing this in a couple of weeks. This is gonna be a while before we do this thing. I don't know how long that's gonna be, but I think that the biggest issue that I had to begin with is going north. I was a truck driver. I wouldn't want to try to first of all, get out on Main Street. But we beat this up enough, I think, but I think we probably should just let you give us another picture of it on the other side, maybe, and then we'll go back.
One last thing. If somebody's sale of a business hinges on our decision and they're going to wait a couple more weeks for us to figure it out, I just think that's too long of a delay for somebody's livelihood.
Okay, so I've just reviewed the rules, Robert's Rules of Order regarding tabling, and we did have a motion to table that says the motion cannot be debated. It needs a majority and a second to carry the motion. So we need to deal with that motion first, and then we can discuss. I think that the fact that the council is considering the thoughts and the comments from the public, and that we would like to work with the public, I think that they know where our hearts lie. So I think they can move forward with their sale of business, knowing that we don't plan to harm that. But we do need to deal with that. So I was wrong on the tabling, that it does need a second. So a motion was put on the table. I need either a second or it dies. So now I have a motion and a second. Angela, would you please take the vote?
Counselor Thorstad, Counselor Richards,
Yeah.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
No.
Counselor Gorley,
Yes.
Counselor Trask.
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 3 ayes and 2 noes to table this for the next council meeting where modified resolution can come forward. Moving on to the next item on our agenda.
There were 3 ayes and 3 noes.
4 ayes.
There were 4.
4.
Oh.
Did I say that wrong? Sorry, I'm sorry, I misspoke. There were
It didn't
4
matter.
ayes and 2 noes. My apologies. I may not be a professional driver, but I know I learned how to count. So my apologies. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, request for council action, reviewing and approving the contract for OpenGov services.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. So I'm going to back up a little bit on this particular enterprise system. So we have been using multiple enterprise systems here at the city for the past few years and trying to make a lot of them work. Recently, we had to go away from our current system of 311 because it was no longer working for us. We also took away our budgeting system called ClearGov. And then staff and I have been working really hard on trying to identify some of the gaps and challenges that staff has had that we think by finding solutions to those gaps, we could really improve both efficiency within the city and also customer service and transparency to the community. So as we went through all of our various gaps, and we spent quite a few hours, and I want to thank staff for putting up with me and all of my various workshopping in these areas. One of the biggest gaps that we discovered was communication, and that was communication both between the departments, between employees in some of the departments, and also with the community. And we discovered challenges in areas such as process automation, code enforcement, the way that we were doing online payment collection, our public portals, our communicating out to the public on emergencies, on giving all of this various information, as well as our asset management and our ArcGIS integration. So that was something that we did about 4 or 5 months ago, and we've been working since on looking at a few different software systems on trying to determine what could potentially resolve some of these issues. We've been working with OpenGov in procurements, and that's been going very well. And I am familiar with OpenGov in previous agencies as well. We also looked at iWorks, MuniCode, some of the other systems as well to make sure that we were finding a system that we were interested in. And then we were able to negotiate the pricing on OpenGov because ultimately we decided that we liked the idea of OpenGov, and they gave us a over 30% discount than what they typically give on their government contract rates. So we are now bringing this forward. When we look at ClearGov, 311, and TextMyGov, not even to talk about some of the other ones, that ends up being about 60,000 annually. So this will be both a cost savings and an efficiency. We also expect it to really help with staff and being able to talk through to each other and look at things like our work orders and be able to tell where they are. When was this first reported? Who's been working on it? Who else has touched it? And this is a type of efficiency that we haven't really had so far in the city of Sweet Home. So we're bringing this to you to hope to be able to bring this forward. The other piece that's really nice about this one is it has a very easy to use public portal that would allow us to, will interface directly with our websites and allows us to have additional photos and links and complaints, but also comments where people can see where some of our goals are and actually be able to see projects. Like, for example, we could have had photos of Let's Paint the Town on there, and we could have been giving annual or weekly updates on what was going on. As it is, we've had to rely mostly on social media, and that's been fantastic, but it's nice to be able to have another option. So all of those pieces would be able to be used by one system. One of the other pieces that's nice about that is we do not pay per user. So we can just have as many as possible. It will integrate with our procurement system, which means we'll also be able to have our asset management to tell us, all right, these contracts are expiring and these other things are happening. You need to go out to bid for these projects. And we don't have as strong of an asset management system that would be really, really beneficial for us. So that's pretty much the reason why we're looking at OpenGov, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from counselors?
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
So this is going to make the staff and your office more efficient and more transparent and reduce cost. And you got a huge savings with your negotiation skills of 30% off.
Over 30%. Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Thank you.
I think that Counselor Sanchez summed that up very well. So any other comments from counselors or questions? I will entertain a motion.
So moved as recommended.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Angela, please take the vote.
Counselor Thorstad? Counselor Trask?
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez?
Yes.
Counselor Gorley?
Yes.
Counselor Richards?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes. Let the record show that there are 6 ayes, no nays, and 1 absent to approve that contract. Moving on to the next item on our agenda. Request for council action approval to sign the Lower Sankey Park Phase 3 grant agreement.
That's why you got flowers.
I know. Sorry, I'm not prepared to talk. Actually, I don't need to. This is a, sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. Request for council action to approve the signing of the grant agreement for the Lower Sankey Park Phase 3. We were awarded the grant, and this is just your approval for City Manager Kelsey Young to sign the agreement so we can move forward with the project.
Can I add one little piece? Angela did the lion's share of the work on getting this grant, and very, very, very proud of her.
Oh, good job, Angela. Any comments from questions from counselors?
So Madam Mayor, this grant is almost $300,000. Is that what I'm reading? Is that right?
No, the
Oh.
portion, so that's the total project cost. So
grant
the
amount,
grant,
so it's
so
gonna-
yeah, the grant is the 118,390 or
177.
177. I
There you
read the
go.
wrong number. I'm so sorry. The total project includes that and the 118
Correct.
copy.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, regardless, still fantastic.
Any questions from counselors?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
If we hadn't got a grant, Sandy Park would not be where we're at today. And they gave us a pretty good chunk of money, and we got another time, Angela, she got so many people to give us money in 10 days or something like that. And so that's why our park is like it is right now. And I have to say again, it's the Public Works that got the work done. You know, and it's really hard to turn that down. I think, you know, somebody's paying for it, but that's fine. I think it's a thing that would be a good move for us.
Okay. Any other comments from counselors? I will entertain a motion.
So, second.
I have a motion and a second. Angela, would you please take the vote?
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
Counselor Gorley,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Trask.
Yes.
Counselor Richard,
Yes.
Counselor Thorstein.
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 6 ayes, no nays, and 1 absent. Moving on to the next items on our agenda, ordinance bills. We have none. Reports of committees. Are there any reports from committees that have met since our last council meeting? Okay. Moving on, reports of city officials, city manager's report.
Thank you. So there is an open house for Samaritan Health on Friday, October 27th from 12:30 to 6 p.m. And the ribbon cutting will be at 12:30. Would like to invite all of council to be there. Please let us know if you're going to attend. We're probably going to just go ahead and say that there's a possibility of a quorum just in case, but we're very excited to see this in the community. Also, downtown trick or treat is going on Halloween, which is October 31st. And also feel free to swing by City Hall. We are going to be in costume, family friendly costumes, and have treats as well. So the community wants to swing by before 5:30, please do. And speaking of swings, we are selling gravel and mulch. You all should have these. So gravel and wood chips, and all proceeds go to improving Sweet Homes Parks. Another thing that Public Works is doing is loading up trucks and doing deliveries. And I don't know if you all have looked at other pricing, but it's actually pretty competitive. I'm going to be getting a few yards myself. So the city's also going to be in the Veterans Day Parade. We do want to invite any other veterans that would like to attend to contact us. And the week of the 6th through the 9th, we will have an open house at City Hall. We're also going to have a reception for any veterans on Wednesday, November 8th from 4 to 5 p.m. And I'm going to be personally trying to host that and purchasing some pizza or some things like that. So please feel free to stop by, pay your respects, and please let any veterans that you know. We are trying to have some of the community leadership programs help us decorate. So we think that this could be a good time. Also, just keep it in the back of your mind. The Christmas tree lighting will be December 1st, and then the Parade of Lights is coming our way, and we're going to be involved in that too. I will keep you all posted on any more additional details for that. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean- Madam Mayor, I have all of the flags of all of the military people. So we can put them on the front of the building.
I would love that. That would be fantastic.
I'll get those down for you.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Mayor's report, not much of a mayor's report tonight. We attended the Boys and Girls Club fundraiser, and that was exciting to watch the community come forward and fund the Boys and Girls Club for the next year. Also, just a reminder, the counselors, it was decided that we will have an executive session on November 14th at 5:30 p.m. And that is all for me right now. Department directors reports. Any department directors that want to present the reports that are in the council packet? Finance Director Matt Brown has a report in the council packet.
Guess I've been nominated to speak. The quarterly report is in your packet for review. Everything's looking fine and on track for this year. I will update the council. Currently, we're still going through our last fiscal year 22 audit. So all of the bank reconciliations have been completed by myself and Marina and Company, who's been assisting me.
Wait. We should all applaud on that. Thank you. Thank you. That's a big deal.
Still a little ways to go.
That's all right.
So the auditors will finish on the 22 audit. And then as soon as we get done with that, we will start on the 23 audit. Myself and Marina Company are already starting on the bank reconciliations for 23. So we're not waiting for them to finish the audit. We're just going to continue going to make sure we get caught back up.
Thank you so much. That is a great report. Any other questions of counselors for any department directors after reviewing their reports? Yes, Chief.
I just wanted to remind council and the public that on Halloween on the 31st, we have a library reading. What time is that, Megan? At 2:30 for the kids at the police department. So show up, have fun. And then also a reminder for the public, we have a lot of kids downtown, and just to keep the speeds down. So
thank you for that reminder. That's good. All right. Any questions from counselors? No. Any council business for good of the order?
Madam Mayor, may I say something? So I don't want to forget the Green Peter and the Foster Reservoir water issue. I get a lot of concerns, emails, complaints about the brown water that's coming from the letdown. And I just got an email from Jamie Kate, and I wanted to just read a paragraph of what she said. And I want to thank Commissioner Nyquist for his suggestion. Commissioner Nyquist compared the issue to the federal government's northern spotted owls recovery project that failed in part because the dominance of the barred owl over the spotted owl was not factored into the equation correctly. Commissioner Nyquist suggested that perhaps Lynn County should ask the Corps of Engineers to abandon this long-term project. So I just want people to know that we haven't forgotten about it. There are commissioners, state representatives, senators, counselors, they're all talking about it and in a way that we can try to see what we can do about the situation.
Thank you for that reminder. That is something that I have sent out messages regarding to state and county officials, and City Manager Young and I have discussed and continue to discuss what could be done. So thank you for that reminder. Any other council business for the good of the order? Okay, I will adjourn this meeting at 8:34 p.m.